There is an untold amount of awkward, cringy, and downright embarrassing celebrity interviews for us to enjoy on the internet. From bad interview questions to weirdly passive-aggressive chemistry, I'm Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now, and this is my list of the top 10 crazy celebrity interviews that actually happened. Kicking off the list today at number 10 is Robert Downey Jr. So, it turns out, for any who were wondering, asking dumb questions usually results in dumb answers. Or, in other words, asking Robert Downey Jr. about his relatively dark past and the relationship with his father during a promotional interview for the Avengers Age of Ultron gets you walked out on. Don't believe me? Well, Krishnan Guru Murthy of Channel 4 will show you. Back in a pretty infamous interview from 2015, which I just realized was 8 years ago, Robert Downey Jr. showed us just how to handle the press with style and grace. When answering questions live for Krishnan and Channel 4 News, the interview started off normally, asking questions about the character and Robert's interest in comic books, but as time went on, questions slowly started switching to things he has said in the past and the parallels between Tony Stark's backstory and Robert Downey Jr.'s own history with substances, being in the slammer, and his relationship with his father. Just watching Robert's body language, you can see him become more and more uncomfortable, breathing heavier, but never losing his charm no matter how inappropriate the questions are. My favorite parts, though, are when he says, quote, "Are we promoting a movie right now?" And then, right at the end, he goes, "What are we doing here?" Right. Bye, and he just walks away. It's great. It's awesome. In at number 9, Tom Hardy. Robert Downey Jr. handled his inappropriate questions by being charming and just walking out. Well, Tom Hardy, as you can probably imagine, handled his inappropriate questions by being very direct. During a press conference at Toronto International Film Festival for the movie Legend, where Tom plays two characters, one of which not being straight, a member of the press from an LGBT news organization touches on the character Tom plays, but then proceeds to say that Tom's own preferences are a bit more ambiguous, based on interviews he's given in the past. He then asks, "Do you find it difficult for celebrities to talk to the media about their preferences?" After digesting that for about 2 seconds, Tom casually leans into the mic and says, "What on earth are you on about?" And then asks what exactly the question is. He confirms that no, he does not find it difficult, but then he fires back asking if the interviewer is asking specifically about Tom's own personal preferences. When the reporter says, quote, "Sure," Tom's immediate response is, "Why?" And before the reporter can say a word, Tom says thank you. And the press conference just continues on with only a slight awkward pause, and it's probably my favorite clip ever. The reporter was entirely out of line. Not good. Number 8, Ben Affleck. While promoting the film Jersey Girl on Box Office, Affleck spoke with a French-Canadian journalist named Anne-Marie Lossic. And, well, she sat in his lap for the duration of the interview. With his arms wrapped around the reporter's waist, they were essentially cuddling the whole time, with the actor making some kind of really strange remarks and comments and being basically a huge simp. The video resurfaced in 2017 among some rumors about the actor, and the video led many people to question Affleck's behavior towards women. But on the other hand, Lossic told Entertainment Tonight that the video was taken out of context and said she did, quote, "many interviews like that with Affleck." She said, quote, "The day I did that particular interview, it was a bit usual. I would say, in the sense that we would have this game going on and it was strictly for the cameras while the cameras were on." She also added that their interviews, which were apparently all like this, always got very high ratings. She said, quote, "I aired everything that we did in the full interview without editing anything out because I thought it was kind of fun." Lossic explains that the clips with Affleck were, quote, "a big thing in Quebec," and added that people enjoyed them. But given the claims made, her tone did change a little bit, saying that it changes the dynamic just a little. Now, I don't know. Watching the interview for me was kind of super uncomfortable, but hey, I ain't from Quebec, so I don't know. What do I know? Nothing. Number 7, Anne Hathaway. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be a famous actor, doing interviews, and I'm like, oh, I could totally be that guy. It wouldn't be that bad. And the only reason I think that, though, is because, being a guy, I wouldn't have creepy men ask me about my underwear and workout routines mid-interview. It seems to happen all the time to women, though. While speaking to Extra reporter Jerry Panicoli about her role as Catwoman in 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, Anne Hathaway was forced to navigate a series of questions about her body. He initially brought up Hathaway's, quote, "feline fitness regime" by noting that Hathaway had to be in, quote, "perfect shape" for the film, to which she responded with, "It wasn't about being in perfect shape, it was about being able to do the stunts and the fighting perfect. Then the topic moved to the form-fitting costume she wore. Hathaway told him that the suit didn't feel like sweatpants, but it wasn't not comfortable, and she shifted the attention to her male co-star Christian Bale, saying he had it worse with bat ears, which is probably true. But the questions about her body continued anyways, with Pennicoli asking her about her diet and exercise routine leading up to the film. Now, being the legend that she is, Anne hit Jerry with, quote, "Are you trying to lose weight? What's the deal, man? You look great. No, seriously, we have to talk about this. What do you want? Are you trying to fit into a cat suit?" I just personally love that one. I thought it was pretty great. Number 6, Samuel L. Jackson. Most of you may have seen this clip floating around the internet. As KTLA news anchor Sam Rubin was doing a little TV interview with the legendary Samuel L. Jackson, Rubin rattled off Jackson's recent projects while welcoming him onto the show. He then mentioned the recent buzz surrounding his new Super Bowl commercial. After an awkward pause, the actor asked, quote, "What Super Bowl commercial?" The reason Jackson looked and was confused became apparent when he realized that Rubin had mistaken him for another actor, Lawrence Fishburne, who was featured in a commercial for Kia in the 2014 Super Bowl that happened a few weeks beforehand. Jackson let Rubin know, saying, quote, "You're as crazy as the people on Twitter. I'm not Lawrence Fishburne," as the anchor tried to apologize, but the damage was done. Jackson kept it up, saying, quote, "We don't all look alike. We may be all black and famous, but we don't all look alike," adding, quote, "You're the entertainment reporter for this station and you don't know the difference between me and Lawrence Fishburne?" As Rubin scrambled to save himself there, Jackson said, quote, "There must be a very short line for your job outside there." Could you imagine Samuel L. Jackson saying that to you? "I just quit whatever my job is at the time. There's no point in even being there anymore. You're just done. You're done." Number 5, Sean Connery. This is an oldie, but a goodie. Well, maybe it's not good. That's not really the right word. Incredibly uncomfortable would probably be better. Back in 1978, Sean Connery sat down with Barbara Walters for a little interview, and the whole thing had this level of tense combativeness, while still being kind of weirdly casual. It really hit its most interesting point though when Walters asked the James Bond actor about previous comments he made about women and open hands rather than closed fists. He said, quote, "I haven't changed my opinion," which prompted Walters to ask if he thought it was, quote, "good to lay hands on a woman," and the actor responded, "No, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's that bad. It depends entirely on the circumstances and if it merits it." She then pressed the actor on what type of situation would merit the action, and Connery said it should only come after a man has, quote, "tried everything else." He went on to say, quote, "Women are pretty good at this, but they can't leave it alone. They want to have the last word. Then you give them the last word, but they're not happy with the last word. They want to say it again and get into a really provocative situation. Then I think it's absolutely right." I don't even know what he's talking about there. So yeah, it was not great. There was this tension in the air, like Walters was literally about to, understandably, lunge across at Connery, but it never happened, thankfully. Number 4, Vin Diesel. Brazilian YouTuber Carol Moreira sat down with actor Vin Diesel to promote the new XXX movie that came out in 2017. But Diesel didn't seem to be too interested in the movie, as he seemed more interested in Carol herself, and continuously stopped her to comment on her looks. The first time he did it was while talking about Saving Private Ryan from 1998, and about halfway through the interview and midway through answering, he stops and says to the crew off screen, quote, "God, she's so beautiful. Am I right or wrong? Look at her. How am I supposed to do this interview? Look at this woman." It's weird, but it was still kind of a little sweet, I guess. She was clearly trying to stay on topic though. Unfortunately, it didn't stay that way. He would later go on to say they should have lunch together. Again, she tried to refocus the interview on his work by bringing up the fact that he was a Dungeons and Dragons nerd like her, and he pulled an Uno reverse card when he said, quote, "I'm anything like you because I love." Guys, really, look how beautiful she is. You guys think this is a joke? How am I supposed to sit over here when I'm looking at such beauty? It all hit a crescendo at the end when he told Moreira that she was too effing sexy to do an interview with, and then he got down on his knees and like waddled over to her while going off about how beautiful she was. It was weird, but following the interview, Carol released a statement saying that she was, quote, "completely uncomfortable and not sure what to do" while speaking to Diesel. Honestly, same here. I didn't know what to do when I was watching it. Number 3, Cara Delevingne. Or is it Carla Delevingne? I don't know. That's what the hosts of Good Day Sacramento seemed to have initially thought before they treated the model and actor Cara Delevingne like she should be happy to be talking to frickin' Good Day Sacramento. Cara appeared on the show back in 2015 to promote her movie Paper Towns. After the mess up of her name, the interview was plagued by a satellite delay, which made the idiotic questions like, "Did you even have time to read the book? You're so busy," just a bit more painful. But what added to it was the way Cara answered the bad questions with deservedly bad answers. Like, for example, quote, "No, I didn't read the book or the script actually, I just winged it." Kind of hilarious though. That was actually pretty smart. It was when the third interviewer popped in out of nowhere though when things started to go bad. Essentially, he said that he saw Cara do other interviews a couple weeks ago where she seemed more excited, and then asked, quote, "Are you just exhausted?" If she wasn't annoyed or insulted then, she may have been now. The interview just kinda devolved from there until the first host said, quote, "You seem a little irritated. We'll let you go take a little nap and maybe get a Red Bull." Shortly after, Cara's satellite feed dropped and the interviewers seemed to think that she was in the wrong. I don't know though. What do you think? Number 2, Jesse Eisenberg. This whole interview was it just wasn't a good time. It was incredibly uncomfortable, but also awkwardly hilarious. Basically, during an interview between Jesse Eisenberg and Romina Puga, Jesse Eisenberg is basically a huge jerk, but it's at such a strong level that it's kind of almost hilarious. I don't know exactly what it was about Romina that Jesse disliked, but I think it was the pretty unorthodox and honestly a little unprofessional way that she conducted her interview. For example, she called Morgan Freeman just Freeman, which Jesse called her out for, asking if they were on a little league softball team together or something. She had interview questions written on her hand in pen, which Jesse also called her out for. She tried to do a little magic trick with her thumb, which he made fun of her for, but then she told him that he has fat thumbs, which was kind of funny. She asked him to perform a magic trick, which he did, and it was awkward as hell, but before they started, he called her the carrot top of interviewers. And then, when she said she would cry, he said to make sure it was after the interview so he didn't have to know it was his fault that she cried. It's actually so awkward and bad that you could almost think they're attempting to flirt, but I seriously doubt that. And finally, in at number 1, it's Jim versus Jim. The interview between football player Jim Everett and radio host Jim Rome for Talk 2 was pretty much combative from the moment it started, and that's all because Rome is one cheeky son of a gun. Jim Rome had this little running joke where he would refer to Jim Everett as Chris Everett, a female tennis player. Well, when the 6'5" Everett decided to grace Talk 2 with his presence, Rome did not keep this joke to himself. Right after introducing Jim Everett, he went, "You know what? Check that. Chris Everett, good to have you on the show." The football star seemed to be well aware of this little joke that had been running for about 2 years, and well, Everett made it pretty clear that he was not cool with that when he said, quote, "You know, we're sitting here right now, and if you guys want to take a station break, you can, but if you call me Chris Everett to my face one more time, we better take a station break." Rome, on the other hand, had no shame, and after a little bickering, he called him Chris once again, prompting Everett to, with grace, flip the table, and the pair ended up on the floor with the 5-segment interview cut down to about 1 minute and 30 seconds. And that's all I got. Thanks so much for watching here on Where Are They Now? I'm Adam Andrews. Stay safe and well informed out there. Peace out.